What is up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics. Another day here in Cancun, where it's all about classic bodybuilding. Just did my 40 minutes of cardio at Iron Gym, 25 minutes on the elliptical, 15 minutes on the treadmill, nice and fast pace. Then I came home, I drank at least 2 liters of water with some Hydra Surge to be hydrated by Jacked Factory because I'm sweating a lot, losing electrolytes. That's not what you want, but let me show you the meal. First meal of the day, cream of rice, strawberries, dark chocolate, psyllium husk, cinnamon, salt, potassium, but also whey isolate, authentic ISO by Jacked Factory. Use code Wesley for 20% off. But anyway, we're going to enjoy this a whole lot. After this, we're going to work out and then have another cream of rice meal, which you will see. And then it is time for the back workout itself. Now, most of the workouts and most of the exercises that I do are mostly machines, but still free weight machines because those feel very good on the muscle. But I'm not using a lot of free weights in general right now because when I do, the muscular focus, mind-muscle connection, risk of injury, those are all things you have to take into account when you're very fatigued, low on energy, caloric deficit in the final 2 weeks before a competition. You don't want to take any risks. You just want to stimulate the muscle. It's not about growing muscle right now. It's all about stimulating the muscle. So here I'm showing you guys, this is a lat pull down, and you really want to focus on the lats, which are on the sides of your back, right below the tricep basically. So you can see here how important range of motion is. I'm going all the way up and you can see those bulges on each side stretching all the way up, and when I'm going all the way down, I contract the lower back also, making it, like every other back movement, a complete back movement. But look at my elbows. I'm really pulling down with the elbows, making sure that the lats are the primary moving muscle that is causing the weight to move. So every exercise always trains the entire back, but it's all about emphasizing certain parts of the back. So if you want to work on the back thickness, doing more pull downs would be necessary with a full stretch. If you want to work on more thickness, for example, in the upper back, then this high row would be perfect. So this is kind of a hybrid in between the pull down and the row because it comes from the top, yet it is a rowing movement. Now, the way that my body is moving here might look a little interesting, but there is some reason behind that interestingness. And so when you see me contracting, when you see me pulling back my arms, my entire back goes along with it because that extends and that, emphasizes the contraction even more. Because what I'm focusing on here is really contracting the upper middle back and the rhomboids to create that thickness there. And what you want to do is really, extend that range of motion into the contraction, because what I learned for my back personally and for most people's back is that when you have a wide back from the beginning, you might already do the stretch correctly, you might simply do a lot of pull downs, but if you never truly contract and squeeze the back, you will never create that back thickness. So ever since about 2019 and the beginning, that's when I truly started to work my back much better, with a better mind-muscle connection, with better form and heavier weight, especially in the off-season, obviously. And the squeeze in the back and then getting stronger while doing that squeeze, that is what brought me the most mass in the back thickness, giving my back the ranking of one of the best body parts that I have, which used to be one of the weaker body parts. It was wide, but not thick. Then the next movement is another variation of a high row, the underhand pull down. And the underhand pull down, for a lot of people, makes it easier to really get that squeeze in. So you also have, for example, the bent over row compared to the underhand bent over row. Now, I like the regular bent over row more because I'm stronger there, but when you're doing a pull down or any machine, if you then do an underhand version, it's easier to get into that lower back contraction, and it's easier to squeeze the back even more. So if you're practicing mind-muscle connection in the back, you might want to implement at least one underhand movement for the back in order to really feel that contraction. And this movement is also awesome for going all the way to the top, stretching out the lats, and then going all the way back down. Full range of motion, guys. That is what growing a muscle is all about. And the next movement, the underhand unilateral row. Wow, it's even so long I couldn't even read the full text, but it's an underhand unilateral low row. So the previous time you saw my back video, I did this movement with both arms at the same time, and afterwards I did a different rowing movement with one hand at the same time. But this one feels really amazing. It had a great chest support, and that allows me to really pull my elbow back as far as I can, and pushing against the chest support, allowing me to contract the back even more without the lower back being stressed out or the spine being under pressure. That is exactly why this machine sometimes can be superior if you truly want to isolate one part of the back, or if you really want to squeeze the back musculature without having to focus on stabilizing and protecting the lower back. Then one of my favorite movements I like to do back at home at 100% Fit Gym, the seated row. Now this is not the seated row that I do back at home, but it's also not the narrowest grip. I like to do a medium to wide grip seated row, so this is pretty much a medium grip, still a little more narrow than I like it to be, because remember, if you have a wider grip, you're more easily able to fully contract the back. You get a larger range of motion, because if the grip is really narrow, you basically shorten the range of motion because your hands are simply touching your stomach, and you can't move further. And as I mentioned to you guys, with a row, the contraction is very, very important. So throughout this workout, I've implemented a couple of intensity techniques. And on the seated row, the intensity technique that I use is a simple drop set. So I go to failure on working set number 1, and then hitting a drop set with about 20 to 30% less weight, allowing me to do at least 5 to 6 or more reps to be able to get, more difficult reps in. And the more difficult reps you're able to hit, the more stimulating reps you're able to provide for that muscle, and the more stimulus the muscle receives, the more muscle retention or even muscle growth will occur. Then the final movement for the back, an isolation movement, the cable pulled over. And I don't show every single working set, by the way. Sometimes I only show one. With this cable pullover, I did 2 working sets, but I'm just showing you the last one, in which I use another intensity technique. Especially with isolation movements, it is very easy to implement a drop set, for example, because it doesn't really increase fatigue that much, yet it brings a lot of stimulus to the target muscle. And for me, the lower back musculature and the attachment, the tie-ins there, are very important to develop, which is why I always like to do at least one isolation movement for the lower back, either a cable pullover with a bar or a cable pullover with the rope you just saw. Then the rear delts. Guys, trust me, if your rear delts are lacking in size, what you have to do then is, whenever you train the back, simply at the end of the back workout, add at least one movement for the rear delts, and don't make it too heavy, because you can see here I'm going quite light, and you can literally see that the rear delts are being contracted, they're being filled with blood without much other musculature being involved. Now the traps will always be a bit involved with this movement, because it's simply, you can't move the entire arms and the shoulder blades like this without involving the traps. but the rear delts take the brunt of the force because I'm really focusing on contracting the rear delt at the very end, because I could go further behind, but then the traps would be involved and taking over, and that's not what you want. So what you want to do is high volume rear delt work. And if you then do 15 to 20 reps at the first set, do a drop set and hit another few reps to be able to get as much blood in the rear delts as you can, because they are quite a small muscle group. So what you don't want to do is overload it with a lot of weight. What you do want to do is create a lot of metabolic damage in there to create a good pump, and that also creates muscle growth. After the back and the rear delts, it's time for the biceps. Now, this machine looked very interesting to me. Next to this machine is a regular preacher curl, which I already did last time. But this one is like, I call it a high machine curl. It reminds me a little bit of the one Dorian Yates used to use. And the reason why this is positioned like this is the contraction of the bicep is superior when your arm is positioned like this. And by the way, this is pretty much exactly the angle that you use when you're doing a front or back double bicep. So that's also allowing you to fully peak and contract the bicep and squeeze it. So doing it like this allows you to fully feel that peak contraction. So I call it high machine curls, and if you have this at your gym, definitely give it a shot. Kind of comparable to a standing cable curl when you're literally performing the front double biceps in a cable station, for example, but that doesn't have the support under the arms, really isolating those biceps, which is why you really should never use too much heavy weights on the biceps. Truly focus on a slow eccentric, stretch it to about 90%, because if you overstretch it, it might irritate the bicep tendon, and then fully contract it to get that peak contraction there to literally create those bicep peaks. Now, after performing 2 working sets on this machine with both arms, I'm using it now with just one arm. So there's a very simple variation, but it allows you to angle your body just a bit differently, allowing you to squeeze the bicep a bit differently as well. So what I'm focusing on here is truly that outer head of the bicep by grabbing the bar a bit more to the inside, because the closer and the more to the inside the grip is, the more to the outside the tension of the bicep will shift. That's why doing a close grip preacher curl, for example, is very good for creating that ultimate bicep peak. Okay guys, that was a nice intense workout. Really enjoyed that workout. And tomorrow is going to be a rest day, which is very much needed because I can feel the fatigue building up. So we need a good post-workout meal, and let me show you what that is. Now, part number 1 is just 200 grams of white fish. So this is part of the protein source. This is a bassa fillet. Not sure, maybe, I don't know what it is, but it's a white fish with no fats. Put a bit of cilantro on here, some salt on there, and nothing else really. This is part number 2. So I put some whey isolate in here as an extra protein source. It's fast absorbable. We have 70 grams of banana, and we have some cream of rice as the carb source after the workout. No fats. Pretty much no fiber, just to get this absorbed quickly, and probably 1.5 hours after this I'll have my 3rd meal of the day. But anyway, let's enjoy this one, guys. Okay guys, just took a power nap after the post-workout meal. Didn't really work that well, but I think I did sleep for like 10 minutes. And now it's time for the 3rd meal. One that is very delicious. So what do we have? We have shrimps, we have chicken, we have cucumber, we have zucchini, and pumpkin, and some 0-calorie dressing. And that's it, guys. Just protein, just vegetables. And yeah, about 1.5 hours later, I'll have the 4th meal of the day. But anyway, for now, let's enjoy this one. Kaboom. Next meal going down the hatch. And yeah, I'm wearing the glasses now because it's getting a little late. 6 p.m. This is the 4th meal, 2 more meals after this. Gonna do some groceries to get some medication to alleviate the sinus congestion and stuff like that and get some extra water. Maybe something else, we'll see, but let me show you what I'm making right now. So again, just gonna be greens and protein, but where's the protein, guys? Well, first of all, we have some asparagus, we have some cucumber, and we have some white fish. Now this looks like a lot, but this white fish per 100 grams doesn't have that much protein, only like 16 grams because it has a lot of water. As you can see, it evaporated quite a lot. What did I add? I added cilantro. I added a bit of low salt, so sodium and potassium. I added a little bit of thyme, which is very delicious. And also a little bit of these chicken spices, spicy blend. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going to enjoy this a whole lot. Just got back home from the groceries, and one of the reasons why I do it as well is to take some extra steps throughout the day because the gym is closed tonight, so I'm just going to be walking outside to get my steps in. I'm making my 5th meal of the day right now, but let me show you what I got at the grocery store a little bit. So as you can see, we have, for example, some Gatorade 0 calories with electrolytes. So a lot of 0 calorie drinks, bigger ones, also electrolyte drinks. We have some vegetables right here, some mushrooms, portobellos, a lettuce, some chicken, broccoli sprouts, asparagus, and there's all kinds of fish down there, strawberries. So yeah, that's basically what's in my fridge. Very basic, but it's necessary to survive as a bodybuilder prepping for the Olympia. And kaboom, this is one of the more interesting meals. So I actually found some octopus at the store. So normally I actually have sous vide cooked octopus already. So if you go to the store in the Netherlands, it's already cooked, but this one was raw. So I just cook it with some zucchini or courgette, put in some spices in there like oregano, cilantro, pepper, salt, just delicious. And yeah, this is just basically going to be my meal. After this, one more meal. And then we're gonna do some, well, I've actually, in between this one and the next one, I'm gonna do some cardio, then have the final meal, and then go straight to bed, have some nice throat tea to help my throat, and let's see where we are at tomorrow, guys. All right, guys, finishing off the cardio here outside, 25 minutes of fast pace walking, and after this, the final meal, and then go to sleep, guys. Go to sleep. Now that the cardio is out of the way, I'm pretty tired. Time for the last meal. Vegetables, protein, and a little bit of fat is the last meal. So hopefully I'll be sleeping for 8 hours straight. That's what I'm going for. But within those 8 hours, you won't be eating anything. So adding fats to the last meal will prolong the protein absorption and digestion and stuff like that for recovery. So let's check it out. So this is just the base vegetable salad in which I will put a little bit of other vegetables and also a protein source, which you can see right here. So what we have right here is salmon. Now, and I love doing groceries in a different country or a different supermarket because this is already pre-prepared salmon. So no salmon steak or no salmon fillet. It's just already like a salmon mince. I just put it in here with the pan, with the other vegetables. So asparagus, very good for getting rid of excess water, but for me it's just a delicious vegetable, low FODMAP. Also some pumpkin, put in a lot of spices like cilantro, oregano, stuff like that, salt and pepper. And here is the second part, also protein with vegetables, a little bit of chicken through there. I like to bake the chicken and mushrooms first, caramelize them with just a little bit of Pam spray, as you can see, and then add the egg whites and the spinach and just let it sit like that until it's an omelette. Also, before going to bed, I like to take Lean PM. It has a non-stimulant fat burner, but also melatonin, for example. I know that not everybody takes that because you don't want to get, you don't rely on melatonin, but you also have a version without the melatonin. But I like it here, to completely get rid of the jet lag and to make sure I'm able to sleep. 5-HTP, L-theanine all help get you a very nice night's sleep. Also some acetyl L-carnitine, which I took before cardio to burn some extra fat. And then we also have some Joint Pro series to reduce systemic inflammation, good for the joints, especially at the end of contest prep. And I also took some omega-3s, vitamin C, some zinc, stuff like that to help me sleep. Anyway guys, I really want to thank you a lot for watching, for the support. It's incredible to see you guys loving these daily vlogs, and I'll keep doing them as much as I can because, you know, the weight is coming down, conditioning is improving, and a lot more is going to happen, guys. Tuesday, I'll actually be doing a leg. So tomorrow is a rest day. The day after is going to be a leg day with my coach. So he'll probably record it himself. I'll also record it. So that's going to be an awesome day. But anyway, let's go to sleep after this meal. And don't forget to stay golden.